brothers and sisters, it's a great privilege for me to be helping to lead this session on ethics, emerging technologies and the human future. My background is as a pediatrician, a baby doctor. I'm based in central London and have spent most of my time working with the care of the newborn in a very sophisticated technological kind of medicine. And as a Christian believer, I have had the challenge of trying to build a bridge between the very technological and sophisticated world of medicine where I've been and the relating that to the unchanging gospel. Increasingly now my work has been in the area of ethics, and we're going to be looking at some challenging and difficult issues today. So this is a complex and difficult area, and it's challenging for all of us as we face these problems. It's challenging technically to understand what is going on in a very complex and rapidly changing world. It's challenging personally as we deal often with issues of personal pain. We're going to be tackling some painful issues this afternoon, issues such as infertility, abortion, genetic diseases, suffering, and death. And you know, these are often issues which touch many people. I can guarantee there are many people in this room who are touched by these issues. Just as we can guarantee there are many people who will be watching these videos who have been touched. And yet these issues are often rarely discussed among us as Christian people. And yet they're issues which touch us in the core of our humanity. There's going to be time for interaction and discussion in small groups after our various short presentations. And also there'll be a time for more general feedback and questions. So if there are particular issues or questions which occur to you, there'll be a time at the end of the session for us to have a question and answer and debate session. And so my fellow presenter is Dr. Peter Saunders, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Christian Medical Fellowship. He comes from New Zealand and is a surgeon by background and is now working with the Christian Medical Fellowship in the UK. So a few words of introduction. Traditionally, the world has been divided into the natural and the artificial. The natural is that which is given to us, which comes, as we Christians understand, from the Creator. The artificial is what we make, what we produce. And of course, right from the beginning of mankind, the history of mankind, human beings have been makers, creators. And so the natural is the way things are, what we have to accept. And the artificial is what we make, the possibilities that we create, what we can choose. As we all know, the environment has been completely transformed by technology, which is on the right-hand side of this diagram. But until very recently, the human body was very clearly on the left-hand side. Humanity was part of the natural order. It was what was given to us, and it was what we had to accept. What is changing is that for the first time, the human body is seen increasingly as now a product of technology, that we can actually start to change the nature of our humanity. And our humanity, instead of being something that is just given to us, becomes part of the artificial world. In traditional thinking, there are three different types of beings. There is the whole animal world. There is the world of humans, of us, of beings made in God's image. And then there is the world of the machine, that which we have made, things created by human beings for a human purpose. And traditionally, these three types of things were always seen as quite distinct, separate kinds of beings. But what is happening is that the boundaries between these ways of beings are starting to merge. What is a human being, says the secular biologist? A human being is simply a kind of chimpanzee with a bit of extra brain. There is no real difference. We are just animals like other animals. And then, increasingly, scientists are starting to understand the way the human body works as being like a machine. The brain is really just like a computer, only it's not made out of silicon, it's made out of flesh. So the distinction between the animal, the human, and the machine is collapsing. And the danger is that the distinctively human is actually disappearing. And we are simply a kind of animal-machine hybrid. What does it mean to be human in this new world? When the Human Genome Project, a massive laboratory project to investigate the human DNA, when the first results were announced, there was a huge media splash. And what was very striking was the religious language that was used by these scientists. They talked about opening the book of life. This is the Times of London, a very august and newspaper. And the Times had this phrase, a new beginning in which we finally accept that we are our own creators and that we alone have the power to make a better world. So that we are our own creators. We have the power to make a better world. And a number of thinkers have said this is really what is sometimes called the Enlightenment project. When the European Enlightenment first started in the 18th century, a central goal of the Enlightenment was to create a better world through a combination of human ingenuity, science, and reason. In fact, this is a kind of secular eschatology, a future hope which is based not on the work of God, but is based instead on human reason. We ourselves are creating a brave new world, a new heaven and a new earth created by technology and by science. This is the front cover of The Economist magazine. And I love the humor in this. It's, of course, a parody of the famous painting of the creation of Adam by God. But here, it's Adam who has become the creator. And the lightning bolt is now going in the opposite direction. And man is now making life. Man is the creator. Human beings have replaced the creator. So the new technology has enormous therapeutic potential, enormous potential for good. This technology can do great good in terms of combating disease, but it always carries within it a potential for evil, for manipulation, for instrumentalization. And it's particularly the vulnerable, the weak, those who have no power, who are most at risk from this technology. In the words of C.S. Lewis, in an essay called The Abolition of Man, he wrote in the time of the Second World War, but it's a very forward-thinking essay. As he saw the potential of power, of technology, he wrote these words: man's power over nature turns out to be power exerted by some men over other men. And so the great dream of the new technology is that all the things which we have learnt to accept as part of the human condition, all of these are part of what human beings have experienced for thousands of years: infertility, the unwanted baby, disability, incurable genetic diseases, mental fatigue and cognitive decline, depression and despair, aging and degenerative conditions. What is new is the idea that we don't have to accept these anymore. We can use technology to improve on our humanity. And that's the challenge, sisters and brothers, which we face as we move forward.